Africa Times, 7th of August 2022, China responds to U.S. debt trap remarks by defending its financial role in Africa. China is fighting back against claims made by Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, during her African tour on food security that China is setting debt traps for African countries as the United States wraps up its diplomatic efforts to save Africa ahead of a December leaders' summit. The visit, according to Thomas-Greenfield, was not intended to compete with China or Russia for influence. It was completed with a stop in Cabo Verde over the weekend. However, it was remarked that it is evident that debt is at the core of the partnerships when you look at what China's doing in Africa. Hua Chunying, a spokeswoman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, denied the claims, claiming they were pure fiction. This came in response to the remarks. She cited a fictitious Chinese study that asserts Western debt has a more detrimental effect on African economic development than research from China or the United Kingdom. Numbers are reliable, she asserted. It is fairly obvious who is pushing African nations into a debt trap. She also cited China's oft-repeated argument that the infrastructure projects it has financed or built in African countries, including hospitals, schools, and bridges, show Beijing's dedication to the continent. She said African countries are the most okay people to comment on Africa's partnership with China. Chinese debt trap, underway. As the continent battles the effects of climate change and shortages brought on by the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, China has already delivered emergency food aid to Djibouti, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea, among other countries that promise to do so again. China, however, remains one of the world's food insecure countries. Thomas-Greenfield focused on providing food help to Africans while in Ghana and Uganda. She departs just as Secretary of State Antony Blinken of the United States is about to tour South Africa, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. By utilizing Chinese labor and resources to farm in Africa for Chinese markets, China has constructed farms the size of entire nations. That is colonization.